hopping in live just to speak to you guys quickly as I just listened to David Raya and Mikel Arteta. They're speaking to the press right now, and it's such a nice little note, I guess, that they give Raya the chance to talk to the media on his birthday, having played 100 games and 42 clean sheets for Arsenal. Um, there's quite a it's crazy actually, like that they opening Arsenal are opening their Champions League season in Spain because there's such a strong Spanish influence in this Arsenal team under Mikel Arteta. And yeah, so it's Raya's birthday today, and he's speaking to the press. And quite a very smart dude and mature dude, which is fairly typical of most of these Arsenal players. That the recruitment team has been really awesome in really trying to find really good humans to add to this squad, and you can see that the recruitment for the person as well as the player is something that it doesn't always, obviously, culture, like, so a lot of people have said this, especially in sports. Culture is that one thing you don't really think about until things are going wrong. You don't speak, I mean, maybe sometimes people speak about culture when things are going right, but a lot of the time people are going to talk to tactical genius or smarts, or they're going to talk to individual brilliance of a specific group of players, or certain players here and there. But like what Arsenal have really done well with Ateta and Edu, I know he's no longer at the club now, but Edu had a really influential role in making sure that we go from where we were to a place now where we are 2 years in a row in the Champions League, the third year starting this season, and yeah, like it's just a nice thing to see. Like David Raya he's played 100 games for Arsenal, so it's hard to think that like just a few years ago that we were all like, what's going on here? What is Arteta trying to do? Aaron Ramsdale has been such a great servant of the club. Another good example, okay, actually, in Raya, of like, I think teams know a lot of things about players that us fans we won't know. In terms of like the recruitment teams I'm speaking of here, and he's such a good guy for this club, man. Like, there's a calmness in the way we play, even though we have an intensity to us too. And of course, Mikel is an intense character himself. But like a lot of these recruits are, I can't speak highly enough of the kind of human beings that they've brought into the club. And Mikel Merino is another example of this. He is actually from Spain, where we are playing in the Basque Country, and very very mature, very calm kind of character, serious professional, really serious professional, and I think he's going to be key as well. Raya and Merino, they're going to be key in the integration of two new Spanish signings for Arsenal. Spanish signings who have been really good, actually, in Mosquera and Zubimendi. Um, Mikel Arteta has a decision to make. Saliba is back in training. He said he needed a few more days, and so didn't play on Saturday. But he was back in training before the game against Nottingham Forest, and we've seen pictures today that he was back. He was back in training as well, and I saw pictures that he was training today. Max Dowman in the training pictures, Timber, Norgard as well. I don't know if Norgard traveled, but Arsenal have option. Yeah, Mosquera as a. There's a lot of like really cool options for Arteta. He's got lots and lots of options. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Um, da, da, da. Yeah, there's my today's training pictures. So, Incapie, he's an option that Ateta has as well. Like he doesn't have to rush into now because he has the kind of level of player who can hold it in there in Miles Lewis Skelly. If you want to think ahead to Manchester City, you have Leandro Trossard, who I mean Arsenal's riches in in what they can do in terms of like lineups between today and then Manchester City and then the following week, and then he has the chance now. Like this last weekend, he started with five of his Mikel that is. He started with five of his signings from the summer. Five of the eight signings from the summer started, and then one didn't make the squad in Nogard. So like he has a full squad except for the big misses, of course, in what's his name, Saka, Odegaard. They didn't travel. I don't think they're not going to travel. And then Havertz, we already know about. He's a longer term contract. I mean, longer term injury. And the other fascinating thing, yeah, sorry, there's one more guy I didn't know whose name I'm not remembering here. Odegaard, Havertz, Saka, Saliba. Saliba has a chance to play. Um, but if I'm being honest, I would give Saliba maybe a half of a game tomorrow or like 30 minutes, or just give him a break, man. Mosquera has been fine. Maybe give Ben White minutes because Ben White is also another player that has been suffering with injuries, but I think he's gonna need some time because actually both Ben White and Saliba will need minutes maybe so that they can give us something against City. Mikel is talking to the press now. And yeah, this is gonna be fun. Like he's probably gonna take the team out quite a bit because he's back in his home country. But yeah, speaking of big people in this team, I think this guy Kepa and Norgard are going to be key in helping Arsenal. Locker room. Like Mikel Merino is going to be big for him. He's going to be big for Martin Zubimendi. Zubimendi is a senior pro, but he's gonna to have Moreno, who has played with over 100 something games, and it's gonna be awesome for Zubimendi. So Arteta, yeah, says confirms basically what I just said about the injuries, and obviously Gabriel Jesus. They're asking Arteta about set pieces, and you have to admit though, guys, like listening to Mikel Arteta talk football, whether you like his style or not, he he's so good at like really expressing his ideas and explaining his logic, whether you agree with the logic or not. Like he's such a good speaker in terms of like speaking of his understanding of why what he sees and then why he chooses the options that he chooses. And of course, this is a homecoming for him, and this is gonna be one of them things where I think last year we drew at Atalanta. But this one, Arsenal has every chance of winning this one. Yeah, Odegaard is at home. Hmm. So Mikel has just been asked about Saka. Um, so Saka won't be there. And then asked about Gyökeres. And I think the thing with Gyökeres is going to be he's going to have to carry the load in the front. And I think this is both beneficial for the player and the team because he, unlike Havertz, is newer and he has to kind of build the relationships with his frontline partners and then the midfield partners. So it's not the worst thing that he's having to play this many games early on, as long as obviously Kai Havertz comes back um, within the next month or so. I think we should be fine. I think Victor Gyökeres carrying the load for the next 4 weeks or so, especially if you can take him out for after 60, 70 minutes and you can play Trossard in, in that false nine role, or if you feel inclined to give Martinelli minutes there too, you could. I know against Nottingham Forest, and Mikel just mentioned this, he played Merino for 20 minutes in the false nine, but I I would rather have Merino play next to Zubimendi and share minutes with Rice. He's a good solution in the midfield, especially when you have a lot of forward players who are going to need minutes in Martinelli and Trossard. I think that would be a good way to give Gyökeres 60 to 70 minutes over the next few games, but then one of those two comes in his stead to finish the game off. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. That's what I think would be the best way to do it. Is Gyökeres starts and plays 60, and then between Trossard or Martinelli, they can play either left wing or in the middle, one of them two. Because Trossard has done it before and he knows how to do it, and he understands Mike Arteta's demands from that position. Hmm. So, guys, yeah, here's the thing here. I think Mikel Arteta and his squad are ready. That's my view. I think they're ready to take on a big season this year. He's got depth, two players per position. He has five key players missing right now, and nobody's talking about it. That's a sign that this Arsenal team is ready to basically tackle challenges, no excuses. Even though I do think, in some instances, excuses will be reasonable. But I think in this case of having this many players out this early, one can only hope that this means Arsenal are going to have a good run in the winter months, and this, like, and I know people are worried about the depth of Arsenal squad right now and feeling like some players are going to miss out who deserve playing time. However, I think players are going to have to share minutes. It's five substitutions. And what we've seen, with the exception of Anfield, we've seen that Mikel Arteta is prepared this year to rotate or do a minute timeshare. He's done a few times where I remember at Old Trafford he changed both fullbacks. They changed both fullbacks around the hour mark, so just behind after an hour. Put on, I think he started with Calafiori and Ben White. I think came on Skelly and Timber. So, and I think we're going to see that a lot of as well in the wide positions when Bugayo comes back and Noni is fit and Martinelli is fit and Leo is fit. We're going to see a lot more minutes being shared between players. And then when Victor Gyökeres, he's going to have to carry the load, Victor, as we as just listened to Mikel talk about that he's doing well right now. And I think he's doing well also just physically to be building his fitness up because remember, he went on strike to try and force his way out of Portugal to come to Arsenal. And so he basically did not have a preseason. And so what we've been seeing from this guy, this is why I've refrained from going too big with criticisms on him. I know people who are not Arsenal fans don't feel the responsibility to be protective of Arsenal players. Fair play, everybody gets to have an opinion. But my opinions, I'm reserving them because I think we are watching Vitor Gyökeres get ready for the season, during the season. And that's what we're basically seeing here. We're seeing a player try to find not just good relationships and connections with his new teammates, but we're also he's trying to find his best levels fitness wise in front of our eyes. And I'd be loath to critique somebody who is in that situation. You know, Noni Madueke, he came in fitter. He had a short summer. He cut his summer short to come and join the squad. Good for him. But you can see that he's a player in the peak of his powers. He was playing all the way into June and then took a very short break and then came back into training because he was excited to play for the Arsenal. So he looks good. Eze had a good preseason by the looks of everything. He, he was fit and available at Palace when the season started. So he's ready to go, and I expect to see a lineup resembling most of what we saw over the weekend. I would be loath to see Mosquera off, and maybe just maybe you give Gabriel a break. He's coming back from an injury too. Maybe there's a chance there to give both Gabriel a break and Mosquera, and then play Saliba with Nkapie or Nkapie with Mosquera, because Mosquera is younger, he's fitter, he doesn't have any injury issues. Because we do have to protect Gabriel, and because you need both of them for the big games. And City is a big game. I know they're not playing their best version of football right now, but this particular recording was about tomorrow's game. So I would like to see basically the same midfield of Ethan, Martin Zubimendi, Mikel Merino. I would be happy to see that from the start and do Declan Rice at 60 minutes again. But what I think is going to happen is that the midfield I would like to see is the midfield that played after Odegaard got injured. Merino on the left eight, Zubimendi, and Ethan Nwaneri. But I think what we're gonna see is Merino on the right eight because it's in the Basque country. He's from there. He's got family, and it's a team he knows as well. So I think Arteta would be tempted to use him and Zubimendi in midfield, and then Declan Rice on the left eight. I think that's what we're going to see. We're going to see the Liverpool midfield. And up front, I think those three who started against Nottingham Forest all did well enough. Like, I don't think you change that. They Noni had a storm of a game and was worthy of a man of the match performance. Zubimendi won't do what he did over the weekend, but like it makes sense for him to start. He's our best in that position. And then Victor and yeah, I would just, the only thing I would hope to see is Martinelli and Trossard getting minutes a little earlier. And then what you can do, because Calafiori is another player who gets injured a lot, is you can maybe, depending who your centre back pairing is, if it's Gabriel and one other, Asaliba or Mosquera, then you can give Ngapié minutes. Maybe you can sit Calafiori down and have him play Miles and Ngapié from maybe 60 minutes. So start with Miles and give Ngapié minutes from 60th minute. Not because you're thinking this is a gimme, but these are players who need to be playing and really getting up to speed. And this is going to be as good an opportunity as you can, except for unless you want to keep him waiting until the cup game. Right back, I would give Ben White minutes if he's ready. Give Ben White minutes. So I would have one of Gabriel and Saliba, if not both, in the middle, and then play Ben White, and then because Timber and Calafiori should start against Manchester City based on what they've been doing so far. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments section. And yeah, I'll talk to you after the game. Cheers.